Now, as a bit of a car nerd, I am going to assume that you get a little bit happy at the thought of a Peugeot GTi.
Yeah, well, some of them, because they've been a bit hit and miss over the years.
Okay, so how do you feel about the latest hot hatch from Peugeot, which is fully electric?
Well, I kind of like the idea, but I'm guessing there'll be a great deal of whinging about it from the internet, fear of the new and all that, you know what I mean?
Not the internet, gosh. But I do find it quite hard to believe that some people still think electric vehicles are a bit like milk floats, whereas actually some of the fastest cars in the world are now powered by electricity. And the fact that Peugeot has decided to put a GT badge on the electric version of its new 208 is pretty awesome.
Well, that's because it's the fastest version. If you want a hot 208, you have to go electric. Times are a-changing, my friend.
So is it really hot though, do you think?
Well, it has 136 brake horsepower, which is certainly warm for this size of car, and like all electrics, it feels fastest when you first pull away.
Although the GT version is only available as an electric, all the other models have a choice of petrol, diesel, or electric. And it's just listed like any other engine, which I quite like. Simplicity.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love the idea of a base model with 136 brake of electric power. Do you know what? It'd be hilarious. It would look like the sort of car you get given at a rental desk when you go to a Spanish airport, and then boom, you'd be beating sports cars away from the traffic lights.
Ah, such a child. Anyway, the sort of behaviour that will also hurt the range. The 208 has got a reasonably big 50 kilowatt hour battery though, so you will get a chance to play with it if you want. Now, Peugeot claim it will do about 210 miles, which is probably enough for a week's motoring for the average driver.
Now, does it have different modes like the Vauxhall Corsa electric?
Ah, yes, we should explain this connection. So basically, Vauxhall and Peugeot effectively got married recently and now share this new electric small car platform. And consequently, it means the Corsa and the 208 are basically the same car.
Congratulations to them. I actually think the 208 is a bit prettier though, and I like the lights especially.
Right, now back to the modes, because in sport mode, you get the full beans, 136 brake horsepower, but a little bit less range. Then there's normal, which has 100 brake horsepower and an emphasis on comfort for your everyday driving. And then if you want to go full vegan, well, there's eco, which cuts the power and extends the range to about 280 miles, which I think is pretty good.
I think that's a good idea. If you know a charger is in range, you can just have a bit of fun. If you're just pootling around or going a long way, you can save power.
Exactly. And there's another button that you can play with too. The braking modes.
Ah, like, are we talking like the e-pedal on a Nissan Leaf?
Exactly. So most electric cars actually have them these days. And what it means is that when you lift off the accelerator, the motor actually instantly regenerates energy, which puts power back into the battery. Now, you can choose to have a normal level, which is just like slowing using a traditional engine, or increased, which is more like squeezing the brake pedal as soon as you lift off the throttle.
It recovers some power and means that you don't need to touch the actual brakes except in emergencies. It's a bit odd at first, but you soon get used to it and it makes driving in traffic way easier.
It really does. A lot less for you to do. I absolutely love it. If you do want to watch our explainer on that, go to electrifying.com to learn more about the e-pedal, or in fact anything else to do with EVs.
We've also done an explainer on charging too, that's here, but let's look at the e-208 now and see how you can charge that.
So, if you plug the e-208 into your dedicated home unit, it will take about 7.5 hours to go from completely empty to full, and it can take an 11 kilowatt supply, which makes that even shorter. Most home and public chargers are still at 7 kilowatts, but the more powerful ones are coming.
And if you're out and about, it will take a rapid charge of up to 100 kilowatts, meaning 30 minutes to get to 80% full. That's another big advantage over its rivals.
But the big question, is the rest of it any good? I mean, it's big enough. It's sort of halfway between a Renault Zoe and the Nissan Leaf in terms of size.
Yep, we haven't had a chance to drive it in the UK yet, but the early impressions we've had are that it feels a bit firm on bumpy roads. You might expect that from a sporty version, I guess, but I hope the other models feel a bit, a bit more squidgy and softer.
A bit softer. I mean, you'd expect French cars to feel a little bit squishy and comfy on rough roads, but actually safety-wise, there's a long list of crash-avoiding kit that comes as standard.
Yes, it has the gadgets like lane departure warning, and automatic braking is on everything except the cheapest model.
And there's some decent tech in there too. The charging can be controlled by an app, which has a virtual cockpit, which is pretty cool. And it means it has screens instead of old-fashioned dials.
And it's not too expensive either, because there are more versions available than the Corsa. It will be a bit more achievable.
That's right, it starts at about £25,000 for that higher car spec model, which is about the same as a Renault Zoe. Now the one wearing the GT badge though is nearer 30 grand.
But if you want to see our reviews of the Zoe, the Corsa-e or any other car, please click here and be sure to follow us for updates because we are electrifying.com.
And we're here to clear the air.